Hey yo, potentially new triggering discussion video right here. Jokes aside though, big shout out at the start of this video to this person right here. I see comments like these and I'm just like, okay, people are actually interested to hear what I have to say about certain topics. And that does encourage me to do more discussion videos like these, which I used to enjoy doing a lot. It's just a lot of people then always scrutinized me and, it started saying dumb shit that I invent variators like in the running and stupid nonsense like that. Don't mind my hair, by the way. I just got out of the shower. It looks like a mess. But yeah, today's topic is a very sensitive one for me, but like also for a lot of other people because people hate it in this game, and that is stealth in the Outlast Trials. Now, stealth in the Outlast Trials is a key component, and in my opinion, and like it's very evident in how the game is built, Outlast Trials in its core is a stealth game. As much as you wanna say, oh yeah, it's a speedrun simulator, blah blah blah, there are lots of components with how the enemies behave, with how some of the variators behave, it's like some of the objectives behave, that Outlast Trials from its ground up is a stealth game with an option to run away and do other shit like facing enemies head on if you have the resources for it, etc., etc. But in its core, it is a stealth game. And to add on top of it, because I was always very interested in the stealth aspect in Outlast Trials, and that is also why I started playing Outlast Trials in the first place, I did do the FSC challenge. Now, the full stealth challenge is a big project that I've been doing on the side. The first part I did quite a while back. There is a main channel video up for that. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Shameless self-promo. And the second part I'm actually running right now. Like the last few streams, we have actually making considerate progress with like part 2, which is downtown, suburbs, kill a politician and like resort. We're currently on resort right now. We made it through like all the other 3 ones, including suburbs, which was brutal as shit. And like a lot of people were like, do you even think this is possible? Blah 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 blah. I still persevered and the feeling was amazing. So yeah, we did beat all of these 3 completely undetected without being seen by enemies. We're currently working on a resort. I have a really good PB on that. I will probably continue with that tomorrow. Like today I'm taking a day off because I'm not fully feeling like it today, like stream in general. But we're doing this in the background. And the main reason I wanna bring up this discussion about stealth right now is while I'm doing this challenge, a lot of people then go ahead and go, do I think that something like a full stealth variator would work in this game? And to give you a very simple, basic answer, I don't think so. Or it would be very convoluted. And the discussion of this video is just talking about that potential concept and why I think it wouldn't be that great, and how other concepts, like other variators, would be way better for like the stealth integrity of like Outlast Trials in general. Now, the reason why I always like go on a leash on like stealth, my fan like throws my hair in my mouth, what the fuck, is that there used to be a time around early access in Halloween until season 1, which was like quite a few months, where there was no reason in Outlast Trials to stealth, and that part, like that era of the game, in my opinion, overall was pretty boring, because there was never a reason to like stealth. They nerfed the screamer back then, so it doesn't stun anymore, and instead, just mildly inconvenience you. They have rebuffed the screamer quite a bunch ever since then, but the damage is still there, and there was no reason to actually stealth. Like, there was no ranged enemy, there was no Franco, there was no pitcher, there was no nothing. So you could just run around like a headless chicken, and looking at it in retrospect, I don't understand how people got down back then. Like, if you're competent in the game, especially since the stamina was also just broken as shit, like the stamina recovery, which was corrected in season 2, which also people got really mad about when that happened. But back then, like, the game was just way different, and that made me a bit sad back then. I mean, that's a personal me problem, but like, I care about a game that is clearly supposed to be a stealth game to have like good stealth systems. That being said though, let's talk about first and foremost about a potential not being detected variator, which obviously, if we want to take the concept similar to no running or stay together, it would be enemy sees you, you take damage. I think that concept falls flat. I think that concept is bad. And let me tell you why, as someone who has like experience with like the full stealth challenge now. The problems start when you think about, first and foremost, there needs to be caveats for like certain sections in the game. Most importantly, end game. Like, you cannot expect a player in like a final encounter and like in exit sequences to do them full stealthy without certain rigs or anything, unless you wanna block like no rig for some reason with the variator, which at that point you make it so ultra convoluted. Like, just leave the variator entirely. So if the variator came to be, first and foremost, there needs to be this caveat that during endgame sequences like this, the variator gets disabled. Already pretty ugly. Then you ask yourself, how does it synergize with other variators? Because if you, let me tell you from like Snitch, from my Snitch experience with the challenge, putting on Enraged and having a variator like this is straight up disgusting. Like, that's straight up disgusting. So, yeah, would you then make it so Enraged doesn't work with that variator? Probably, but that would also be ugly to look at as well. Like, I hate it. As much as I understand some choices on why variators are not compatible, like Exit Rush and No Running, for example, I kind of hate to always see some incompatibilities. Like, let me play Countdown with Eliminate the Legacy, for example. I don't understand why Countdown doesn't work on that map. Or let me try Toxic Shock and Permafrost, because I'm pretty sure that's beatable, you know, because they don't fully overlap each other. Like, I don't really like seeing, at least in customs. In escalation, if you want to rebalance it around escalation, sure, but like in customs, just seeing, oh yeah, this variator is not really compatible with this, it's always ugly to look at, but it probably would need to happen with Enraged if a variator like this came to be. And then, last but not least, how exactly would it work? Would it work that as soon as an enemy starts chase, that you immediately take damage? I think that would be way too punishing for the player. Just way too punishing. Or would it be similar to Stay Together, where you have a little bit of a leeway until you start taking damage? But at that point, what is the leeway? And at what point does the variator become redundant if it's too leeway? There's a reason why I always said, like, I will talk about no running in a second, so my ramble continues on there, but like, I've always said, people are asking no running to work similar to Stay Together with the tick damage would make no running pointless, similar to if you remove like the jump spam damage from no running, it would just make no running pointless. So I feel it's so hard to get like a decent balance with it as well, whether it's the instant damage upon seeing enemies or similar to like Stay Together where we have a little bit of a leeway. So I don't really think it would work. And like in concept, that variator would probably be the most punishing variator in the game. And I already kind of said it. We're going over to no running, which is a sensitive topic again, because people hate no running, which they always argue, yeah, because it's just so boring. Let's be real, a lot of people don't like stealthing, and they see a variator that actually encourages you in stealth, and then they lose fucking brain cells. But no running is actually very well designed and the better alternative for like a full stealth variator already, because of three key components. For one, obviously no running means that you are encouraged to actually stealth, because, you know, if you consecutively run, you take damage. Now obviously if there's no other variators, you can cheese it and then regen or whatever, but I'm assuming from the point that you get like bleeding or psycho damage, right? But at the same time, you can also defend yourself against no running as well. For one, there's the adrenaline counterplay, which, as a side note, I've not really mentioned it in a video, but one thing that I would love to for no running to change is to make it so adrenalines are consistent and not dependent on like item variators. Like for example, countdown or health sickness. The amount of health sickness pills or time extenders don't change with like variators like Ultra 2, which has a like limited items 3. So I would love to see the same treatment for no running adrenaline shots. So you always have like the max amount of adrenalines, which would also mean that you could run no items in trial no running, and you would still have all the adrenaline shots, and it would be fair. But yeah, besides that, adrenalines are like your defense, and like that's a really cool depth of no running. Figuring out, okay, when do I use a stamina booster, for example, or when do I use my adrenaline shots effectively? Do I use it now defensively to get away, or do I use it offensively to get certain objectives done and brute force them? But even beyond adrenaline, there's like a lot of depth with no running where movement gets into play. Obviously, you have this thing with no running where you jump once and then there's a cooldown that you can learn and then you jump again. But you can combine that with walls, and at that point you're playing a fucking parkour game. And the best example of what I'm talking about is recently on the Begal custom. I have it on screen right now, where an enemy spotted me and I still played to no running's rules, but I still almost got away with that. Using cover, slightly walking into him to bait out hits, using the jump cooldown effectively, using walls effectively. And only towards the end I made a mistake. If I played that with the pallets correctly there, I could have made it in the dark and lose them and, successfully outplay them despite no running being in play. That is high level no running gameplay, which I know a lot of people don't do, but it just is evident to how in-depth no running is. So you have a variator with no running that encourages you to stealth, but you also aren't ultra getting punished once your cover actually blows, and you have options to play against it. Hell, I didn't even mention it, but if you have no running by default, you can still use your stun rig, you can still prepare blind mines, you can still use a barricade. Like, you still have options as well to play against it. Like, you have a variator with no running that is very, very stealth-encouraged, but at the same time, you're not getting ultra-punished if you get immediately seen, which a hypothetical no run, like, it don't get spotted variator would entail. So it is not too ultra-punishing, and also is very much in-depth, which, I just rambled about, like, no running for a little bit. I'm just always a fan of this variator, even though no one else is. I just feel it's like very well designed and people don't give it enough credit, but that's like besides the point. That being said though, if we don't have a don't be detect variator, what would be some other ideas? Dude, my hair's starting to annoy me. I hate it when I wash my hair and then it gets so finicky, especially if I have a fan like right here to my left. Sorry. But what else can we do with like full stealthing? I think the approach would be to improve stealth variators and add new stealth based variators instead of just having you don't stealth, you lose, or you die variator like that. Like, again, as I mentioned, no running is a very good example of that. And again, the only change I would make to no running is actually make adrenaline spawns, like, let's call them quest items, like similar to like countdown time extenders. So you always have the counterplay option to no running there. Now, there are a bunch of variators ideas, just throwing some stuff into the room, which would be interesting. More screamer variator, that the screamers also do something, whether it's if you're in the scream radius you take damage, or bringing the stun back. I think bringing the stun back would be very controversial, but in general just more screamers and more chances that you actually have to sneak around them, and if you don't, you can get punished by the enemies, but at the same time you have counterplay by disabling the screamers, or triggering them in good positions where enemies can't immediately get you and then you get away with it. Maybe there's also an idea for a variator that makes the enemy AI similar to capture zone enemies. like pleasure or spread, where like enemies are constantly on high alert searching. We're talking about like the base kit, like the default X-Pops. I think a variator like that would unironically be one of the hardest variators in the game, but it could be an idea. After all, if you have a variator like that, the enemies don't magically like one-shot you or anything. You can still play against them. It's just they're harder to avoid and shake off, similar to enraged enemies, and it would be a good stealth encouragement, especially if you have to do objectives around them. But also, besides all of that, I wanna take the last minutes or so of this video to discuss cameras again though, because cameras would be the best encouragement to stealth, but right now they're not. Like, I'm sorry, I know people hate cameras. Like, cameras, just like no running is a variator I like a lot, but you cannot really talk about cameras unless it's in a context like this video to like buff them or improve them without people getting ultra triggered. Like, people do not like cameras whatsoever, even though they're really weak in that state. And the reason for that is most of the times there's no reason to actually play against play correctly against cameras. There's more often than not, there's no deterrent to actually being clipped by one. Like, there is just none. It sees you and then you either stand under it or you just break cover immediately, and it does not have any consequence because the surveillance aspect of the camera is just so bad. Like, it is just so bad. And even if you get damaged for a tick, by default it's half a bar that you can regen, so there's not really a consequence of that. The only reason you would ever really hide from cameras right now and like encourage it is either with self-imposed challenges like the full stealth challenge, or if you want to go for an A+ because they fuck your grade a little bit, you know. These are like the only two deterrents to like actually play against the cameras properly. Other than that, most of the times they don't really matter. And like one big component of that is that the surveillance aspect of the cameras is just fucking garbage. It's just fucking garbage. Like, it's more or less just like a sound trap. And like the priorities of the camera is just plain off. Like, tell me, if you played against cameras recently, whether it's the Escalation Weekly or like some customs or like some other runs in Escalation where you got cameras, tell me, do you actually play against cameras for this like anti-surveillance aspect that, you know, you have to stealth around them? I don't think you will say yes. Like 90% of the times, the main reason why you want to respect cameras is to not get damaged. And I think the priority on that is very much off, in my opinion. So, I wouldn't even be against it if the damage aspect of cameras would get nerfed. Like, let's say, if you're getting zoned by like a camera for like a little bit, it like shocks you, but it doesn't deal damage at first, and instead does like surveillance stuff that I get to in a second, but like it doesn't immediately damage you, and like the actual punishment is the surveillance aspect. I wouldn't even be against that, but I think what needs to happen with like cameras to actually be a stealth deterrent, like a stealth encouragement, not deterrent, a stealth encouragement, is that if you're getting clipped by cameras constantly or like in a short period of time, you actually have consequences. Like, let's say, for example, if you're getting clipped by cameras for like a total of so and so many seconds, like in total in the trials, all of a sudden all enemies become completely alert for like a few minutes, similar to, you know, capture zone enemies again. Maybe you can make it thematic that there's like message coming in through the intercoms, attention all export personnel, blah 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 blah, be on high alert, and then they are like really like aware for like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes until they go back to default, you know. Or if you're getting clipped by a camera in general for a little bit, enemies have like a wider range where they actually like look for, you know, cameras. Or if you get clipped by a camera for too long, it triggers an export bait similar to the invader gadget to have like an enemy, like an enraged enemy out within the area for a specific amount of time. Like there are so many ideas you can play around with the cameras right now, which would actually increase the surveillance aspect by like a lot. Again, I think if they do that, I wouldn't be against it if they looked at the damage and nerfed the damage, because I find it so wrong that currently the encouragement for surveillance cameras is just, oh yeah, I don't want to get damaged. It's a fucking camera. It should be about the surveillance and stealth and whatever aspect, not about another damage source. Like, I find that so whack. Now, I also would have said improve the spawn rates of cameras, but they did do a good job on that recently. Like, there used to be a time where, for example, on Resort is the best example, there was like 3 cameras on the entire map, no matter how many times you loaded the map up. But now there is actually cameras on the map, so good job on that, Red Bells, to actually make cameras present if you have the variator. But also, one thing I think people will disagree with, but I think should happen, is to remove the stupid ass counterplay that you stand under the cam and it loses you. Like, that shit, like that angle is so fucking dumb. Like, you should have to pay attention to the camera rotation, using cover, using projectiles or like your rig to disable them. Like, there's plenty of counterplay there to you know, get rid of a critical camera. Like, or like, you know, knowing what cameras there actually are on the map and like preparing for that in advance. Also good counterplay for that. I think it's stupid that you can just stand like be detected by a camera. It doesn't do anything most of the times anyways, but then you can also put it under the wound and you just stand under them and then it loses you. I think that is so fucking dumb. Again, people will disagree with that because people hate the camera variator, but I still wanted to bring it up as like a discussion to make the camera variator a lot better. Also, certain enemies like Crest that actually encourages stealth should just get buffed to be better. I made a 1-hour video on the Crest. I hope they get changed soon. Like, Cancel the Broadcast actually has good Crest utilization, but that MK was like, right there, it showed that the Crest stats are just garbage, so it doesn't matter if the Crests are utilized well in the light. Like, you still need DPA and Rage to make them work, so. But yeah. That is my little rant on like stealthing. I know people hate stealth in this game for some reason. They think it's like a speedrun simulator or what else not. I gave my 2 cents on it. I think, again, it's like a TLDR. In my opinion, they should just add more variators like cameras on no running that encourages stealth but still give you plenty of counterplay instead of adding like a full stealth variator. If they add like a no detect variator, I think it would be very, very and like you needed to have like a lot of caveats to make it work, and at that point it maybe would be a waste of death resources. Anyways, if the variator actually releases, don't blame me. I'm just a random fucking guy who like talks like his opinions on the game. So if you're then like, oh my god, Red Barrels got inspired and like just like no running variator, he invented this, bro, shut the fuck up. Anyways, thank you so much for watching the discussion video. Again, let me know if you wanna hear more discussion videos like that. Hell, maybe if you don't wanna comment about your opinion on a stealth debate, I would love to hear if there's any topic that you would like me to cover, maybe that I have some opinions on, if you want to go the route of doing this more frequently, these discussion videos. But yeah, thank you so much for watching though, and have a good one, everyone. Bye bye.